I dated my husband's best friend. 6 stories about female infidelity. Amanda, 35 years old. We lied to our families about business, and we rushed to the hotel with hourly pay maternity leave restrictions due to the pandemic. My husband working remotely. All this has turned my life into something dull and monotonous. The news about meeting my school friends excited me. "You're going to make it look like your lover is waiting for you around the corner," her husband joked that day. He could not have imagined that the mother of an 11-month-old son would fly off the rails after some kind of meeting with classmates. I was once in love with the boy who sat at the desk behind me. I remember doing new hairstyles every day to please him. One day I heard a voice from behind. "This is the most beautiful one. Do it this way." School sympathy didn't grow into anything, but even at university, I often thought of this guy. We never talked to him after graduation, although there were plenty of opportunities. At least half of the class came to the classmates' meeting. We were sitting far apart from each other, but for a moment our eyes met, and a shiver ran through my body. From that moment on, I was sure that there would be some kind of sequel. And so it turned out. The only option for meetings is hotels with hourly rates. I was ashamed to go there the first time, but I really wanted to. He has a family, 2 children. I have a husband and a young son, whom I had to leave for one of my relatives when I needed to leave home. I was twisting around in lies like a snake on hot coals. For a woman who is on parental leave, this is an extremely difficult task. The affair lasted for several months. During this time, I lost more than 10 kilograms and really liked myself in the mirror. My husband complimented me and said that motherhood had been good for me. It's strange how he didn't notice the obvious. I guess I cheated on him so brazenly that he couldn't even imagine that his wife was capable of such a thing. My lover suggested ending our meetings, which I did not expect at all and was even offended at first. His wife turned out to be more astute than my husband and suspected treason. I had to put an end to it. Yes, after a while he called and offered to meet again, but by that time I had cooled down. Do I regret it? In a way, yes, because infidelity is mean, and I admit it. On the other hand, I console myself with the fact that without this episode, I would hardly have lost weight so quickly. And she looked at her husband with different eyes. Anna, 29 years old. I stole a boyfriend from a girl in order to sleep with him. In revenge for my husband, I cheated on my husband during a business trip. Or rather, like this, I was going on a business trip to finally do it. There were 3 applicants. One of them was completely deaf that he did not understand my intentions, although they were unequivocal. The second one did not arouse sympathy and was considered by me as an extreme option. Frankly speaking, I beat off the third one from a competitor. Yes, a young man was paying attention to another girl, and she was just batting her eyelashes. And I mentally told her, "Girl, move over. It's time for real women. You don't have to thank me for the master class." Everything turned out very easily. It was enough to massage his collar area for a minute right in the taxi. The main thing is how to do it, and how to look into the eyes not intently, but playfully. He never approached that girl again. I know that those with whom I went on a business trip condemned me for my eyes. I know they were whispering, because it was obvious. She decided to commit adultery because of revenge on her husband, who was once caught in infidelity. I don't regret it, and I'm not going to regret it. It was awesome. Mary, 26 years old. After this betrayal, I was able to forgive myself only after 5 years. I had a student marriage. We got married 6 months after we met, and literally a month and a half after the wedding, I became pregnant. Then everything went according to the classics. My husband worked. I stayed at home with the child. It was very difficult for me both physically and mentally, because I had just graduated from college and did not even have time to work. Most of my girlfriends were passionate about cool projects and didn't understand my motherhood at all. I didn't have any grandparents around, and I didn't have time to make friends in the city where I moved to live. My husband began to travel frequently on business trips and went to work on weekends. I had severe burnout, and we started fighting all the time. Then it got even worse. My husband started coming home drunk. I was terribly angry and felt worthless. One day, when my husband returned home in the early morning, I decided to take revenge on him. We met a guy in the messenger, and the conversation immediately turned to intimate topics. We've set an X day. I made an appointment with the babysitter in advance. At that time, I was already working a little part-time and spent almost a month's income on a babysitter. I went to my new friend's house and we had sex the same evening. It was very mediocre. I got neither pleasure nor experience. On top of that, he turned out to be not a very good person. He knew my whole difficult situation, but he didn't even offer to take me back home or spend some time together after sex. I was going back to my child alone and crying. If I've taken revenge on anyone, it's only on myself. My husband did not find out about this meeting of mine and will never find out because we soon divorced. I've only added to my emotional problems. I regretted this act for a very long time, but I could only forgive myself 5 years later. Kate, 37, my husband told me, if you really want to. I don't mind. I was 33 years old, and at that time I had been married for about 7 years. At some point, I realized that in my relationship with my husband, we had become more related to each other than husband and wife. Sex became routine at first and then disappeared altogether. A month, 2, 3, 6 months. I didn't understand why we hadn't had an intimate relationship for so long, so I decided to talk to my husband. Did you want passion after so many years of marriage? It doesn't happen that way. Ask your friends. I'm sure they're no better. My husband told me off. But I didn't give up. Despite the fact that we have 2 children, I tried to arrange romantic evenings, candlelit dinners, trips to concerts. She even tried to drag me to a country hotel to revive my passion. My husband saw all my efforts and casually mentioned it. If you really want to, I don't mind. But there is a condition: I must never find out about it. One day, my friend invited us to a party, but my husband, as always, refused. He turned me down pretty hard. You're the one who wants to have fun, so go ahead, I'll stay with the kids. At the party, I met an interesting man who I liked outwardly. We started talking, and I realized that I was interested in him. He turned out to be married, and for me, communication with married people is taboo. But we had so much fun together that evening. We both understood that passion had long since died out in our families. After the party, we kissed, and then a stormy correspondence began. He was a very smart and creative person, and I could say that I got orgasms from text messages alone. A little later, real orgasms appeared. We started secretly dating. Our relationship lasted about 5 to 6 months. During this time, I felt desirable, confident, and bright again. I started exercising, lost weight, and was filled with inner energy. I also began to feel much better in my family life. But still, I decided to break up with my lover for several reasons. First of all, that initial passion was gone. Secondly, I was constantly plagued by feelings of guilt towards both my husband and my lover's wife. I didn't think I had the right to frame another woman like that. I accidentally saw her photo on social media from mutual friends. She was very sweet. That was the last straw. My lover made my decision, and we've never seen each other since. Diana, 25 years old, my lover blackmailed me with personal messages. I've been unfaithful several times in my life. All these infidelities occurred during a permanent serious relationship around the 2nd or 3rd year of their continuation. When I dated someone for a long time, in the end, I always had the feeling that this person was depriving me of other opportunities and that he was with me just out of habit, not because he loved me. I didn't think there was any other way to solve this problem. I found new guys in different places. I met a pharmacist at a pharmacy once, dating at parties, friends of friends. I've had stories with work colleagues a couple of times, and I'll tell you more about one of them. At that time, I was in a relationship for the 3rd year, living with a guy and working in an advertising agency. One day, a new copywriter came to us. I got involved with him, and our close relationship began in a negotiation. I started staying late at work. I didn't bring him home because my boyfriend was freelancing at the time. Sometimes we met at a lover's house, but he lived with his parents, and it was not very convenient. Then I wanted to break off this relationship and pretend that nothing had happened. But my lover started blackmailing me with personal messages. I couldn't leave, and I just waited for it to sort itself out. My boyfriend, by the way, was very jealous and already suspected me of cheating. I was dreading the outcome. I was tormented by paranoia. One day, my lover and I were riding the subway with our arms around each other and accidentally met my boyfriend. That was enough. I had to move in with a friend that night. I started dating my lover, and he became my boyfriend. He's not a completely normal person, and my relationship with him has become a serious challenge for me. I cheated on him too. And more than once. I got a job elsewhere, and one day, at a corporate party, I met a guy with whom I later cheated. I went to visit him. And once, when the guy wasn't at home, I dragged a new lover to my place, and in the morning I even introduced him to the neighbors. And then she pretended that nothing had happened. And my boyfriend didn't know. I cheated on him once more when we had a fight. My boyfriend said he couldn't spend the evening with me, so I went to visit a friend I'd only seen once before. I have very low self-esteem, and for some reason I tried to improve it by starting relationships, having affairs on the side, and having sex with just anyone. Stable, good relationships were not enough for me. I quickly stopped believing in their value. After these outings, I felt good for a short time, as if I had been given an A. Relationships on the side are very exhausting and, having got my way, I tried to end them. After all, I didn't really need these people. I was just closing my internal deficit at their expense. 45-year-old woman, I had sex with my husband's best friend while he was in the apartment next door. By the age of 30, I was, as they say, a divorcee with a trailer. There were no suitable men around, and I didn't want to be alone. One day, in the entrance of my house, I ran into an unknown drunk man. He started making compliments, joking. It turned out that this was a guest of one of my upstairs neighbors. They were celebrating a birthday that day. We exchanged phone numbers. After this meeting, my new acquaintance began to visit my neighbor more often to see me. One day, he stayed the night not at a friend's place, but at my apartment. It's hard to explain all this, but just 2 months later, he moved in with me and called me his wife, buying my daughter gifts. We created the appearance of a family, took photos together, and invited our loved ones to visit us. A friend of my common-law husband lived 2 floors above us, so on weekends he would come for a beer or we would go to his place. The guy got too close to our family. It didn't end well. For a long time I regretted that I did not get to know my own neighbor before I met his friend, who became my husband. I had sex with my husband's best friend several times while he was practically in the apartment next door. The first time it happened was when I went to pick up the phone that my roommate had forgotten. My best friend didn't reveal the truth for a long time, but then he cracked. My husband moved back in with his mom, and I was hoping to continue my relationship with my neighbor. Unfortunately, nothing worked out for us. And he said a couple of times, if only we had met in a different way. As far as I know, friends continue to communicate. Cheating is a primitive way to resolve a conflict. Cheating is a mistake. Everyone has the right to make mistakes. But unfortunately, only a small part of those who embark on this path think about the consequences. What can this lead to? Firstly, to the complete breakdown of the relationship, as it was in one of the stories. Secondly, to the most difficult feelings of guilt, which can easily lead to depressive states, as many heroines report at the end. Cheating is a primitive way to resolve a conflict. But in this way, no one could resolve the conflict, resentment, or disagreement, but only, on the contrary, it became even worse. Most often, cheating is caused by self-doubt. A person with stable and healthy self-esteem will never take this step. The desire for revenge. You have offended me so much, and I will run to drown out my grief in the arms of another to spite you. If you like another man and want to have sex on the side, you should first understand your own motives. Aren't you covering up some kind of need? For example, the need for strong emotions or for admiration and self-affirmation. Talk about it, solve the issue. Then it will be an adult position. If sex outside the relationship is the norm for both partners, then this is an agreement, not a betrayal. Comments, sexologist, coach of the Secret Center in St. Petersburg. I am convinced that we love as long as we believe in it. And to do this, you need to talk about it in order to remind yourself, not your partner. In the vast majority of cases, female yes, it differs from male. Cheating is only a means, not an end. We see this in all the stories. Somewhere it is an escape from everyday life, somewhere the main need for some kind of self-actualization, somewhere revenge, the need for which arose because of a sense of resentment, and somewhere, as the heroine of one of the stories says, the need to close your inner deficit due to these shortcomings. What is good and what is bad? I won't answer this question, but I can say the following. Hidden treason is infantilism, and often the infantilism of a couple, rather than one partner. This is especially evident in the story of the heroine, who has not had sex in a couple for more than 6 months. This partner's position of do what you want, but don't let me know is also about avoiding responsibility and unwillingness to make decisions. This story really shows how much a man can be indifferent to a couple. I don't dare to blame the woman for her decision here. I rather disagree with her position. A victim who seeks the secret fulfillment of his desires. If a man doesn't have the character to solve a problem, a woman has to solve it. This is a big problem of modern society, which develops according to the principle of a vicious circle. The weaker men are, the stronger women have to be. But the stronger the women, the weaker the men become. In a childish position, a couple does not know how to make decisions, take responsibility for what happens inside the couple, and talk to each other like adults. If one person in a couple is not satisfied with the partner, but she or he is afraid of losing him, this is a dependent relationship. Why is he afraid? Most likely, because of social pressure, attitudes, and fear of being alone. My next firm belief is that it is more difficult to fix than to keep in working order initially. I do not believe that these stories could happen to people who have received timely knowledge about how to build relationships, have at least an elementary level of sexual education at the domestic level, not professional, and who are ready to seek psychological help from specialists. An ideal couple is one that shares common values. If sex outside the relationship is the norm for both partners, then this is an agreement, not a betrayal, and then there is no need to worrying about it.